Pete's initial power rankings just dropped on CBSSports.com. Make sure and go check them out. I'm going to read off the top 10 for you, the bottom 5 to give you guys a handle, and then we're going to do our little Goldilocks segment that we're going to do every single week. Which team's too high, which team's too low, and which team did Pete get it just right? So the top 10 as it stands right now. Kansas City Chiefs, number 1. Green Bay Packers, number 2. The aforementioned San Francisco 49ers at number 3. Buffalo Bills, number 4. Cincinnati Bengals, 5. Ravens, 6. Detroit Lions, 7. Houston Texans, 8. New York Jets sneak into the top 10. I love that. I've been high on them all year. And the Dallas Cowboys at number 10, rounding that out. Bottom 5, unfortunately, as we scroll down this list. Carolina Panthers take up the back end at 32nd. Las Vegas Raiders, 31. New England Patriots, 30. New York Giants, 29. Denver Broncos, 28. Not a ton of surprises there on the back end. Kyle, I'll let you start off. What teams do you think were too high? Too low?
Okay.
And what did he get right?
You know, me and Pete did a few hits last week at HQ. We were talking about the Buffalo Bills, and I left them off my top 10 Super Bowl contenders, and obviously things changed throughout the course of the year. But to me, having the Buffalo Bills at 4, considering all the turnover and all the change, is a little bit too high. And I understand having them in the top 10 for your rankings. I know how you feel about them, but there's just too many question marks for me in the middle of the field of that defense, you know, with Matt Milano being the heartbeat of that defense, with Stephon Diggs on offense being such a volume catcher and being somebody that you can press his button on the Xbox controller, you know, a dozen times throughout the course of the game. He's going to catch 10 of them. I have questions about them being at the number 4 spot. They're too high to me. Maybe you can change my mind here, Pete, but I love Josh Allen, so I'm gonna take it with a grain of salt, whatever you say.
Well, here's why I have them where I have them. I think they're going to the Super Bowl. By the way, that's my pick.
Okay.
The window is not closed. It's a great theory out there that's so misguided because of Josh Allen. You mentioned Josh Allen. The guy's special. I mean, he truly is. But the offense is going to be, now he's in it with Joe Brady, and they understand it. He's going to get the ball out of his hands.
Full year of it.
You mentioned Diggs. Diggs did nothing in the last 10 games of the season. That's addition by subtraction. It really is. Okay, he's a pretty good receiver. Don't get me wrong. He's also 31 now. He turns 31 in November, so you wonder when he goes off the cliff. They weren't, having been around that team, they weren't so upset that he was gone. It's good for Josh Allen that he's not there because now he doesn't have to hear him in his ear every single play. They're going to run the ball more. The offensive line's better. And then you go to the other side of the ball. You mentioned the defense. They played without Daquan Jones for almost a whole year. Tre'Davious White almost a whole year. Milano wasn't there the whole year. Poyer and Hyde were both dinged up. And now they got guys. Okay, Milano's still not there, but he'll come back. They're going to be Daquan Jones in the middle of the line is big. Here's the other part of that. Von Miller was not Von Miller. He told me that. He said, look, I thought I was going to be. I wasn't. So I think you add it all up. I think the Bills are going to be better than they were a year ago.
Does Von Miller come back? He's 35.
Is
he ever going to be Von Miller?
He's never going to be Von Miller again.
He will be Von Miller if he gets somebody that can consistently push the pocket on the other side. He can flush the quarterback. Von does a great job of getting skinny and doing that ghost rush under people. But also it's a complementary rush type of thing with Von. Okay, you need to have somebody that's complementing his rush style.
I'll say this about Josh Allen and the franchise quarterback. I think there was a time, maybe about a decade, maybe 10 to 15 years ago, where if you had that guy, you could chalk up double-digit wins, right? 11, 12 wins. I just think there's too much proliferation of quarterback talent and offensive coordinator talent around the NFL now that just because you have that guy doesn't necessarily separate you. You need to have the
that could
roster.
Put you in the bunch, but not at the top of the bunch.
And
it gives you sustainable success is what it gives you.
But I don't think it puts you top 5. We just have too many good teams around the NFL that if you're just going roster by roster and take the quarterback position out of it in the AFC, Bills are not a top 5 roster in the AFC right now, in my opinion. I think they're every other, whether it's the Chiefs, Bengals, Ravens.
But if you look at the Ravens'
Dolphins,
offensive line, and if you look at it unit by unit, you look at the Ravens' offensive line, it's not better than Buffalo's offensive line.
Yeah, I agree. The Buffalo, what they have is an offensive line, a good offensive line protecting
Kincaid.
And I do love Kincaid.
He's going to be Spencer. He's going to be
Kincaid
special.
great. And people said he was going to have a breakout year this year, but you obviously didn't watch last year.
Right. But he's going to be the best. He'll be the best by the end of the year. He's going to be the best tight end in the NFL.
And we've got our guy Khalil Shakir is going to have a huge bust out year this year.
I thought I was a Kincaid fan. He just called him the best tight end in the NFL.
Dude, he's been saying he's been hammering this Kincaid thing. I love it. I love it. The one thing I want to talk about, you said Stephon Diggs is, he wants the ball all the time, yada, yada, yada. I played with a guy who wanted the ball all the time, Brandon Marshall. I've also been part of offenses without a guy like Brandon Marshall in there. And I loved having Brandon on the team. But when he's out of the huddle, it gives other guys the opportunity to step up and make plays, takes the pressure and the anxiety off that quarterback. Am I keeping my star healthy? So to your point, yes, I'll give you a couple dings on your little scoreboard right there. Okay. Am I going Goldilocks now?
Yeah, go too low.
So I'm going to go too low. Okay. The too low pick for me at the 20th spot is the Atlanta Falcons. Hear me out. Okay. These guys are loaded offensively, in my opinion. They have some really great offensive linemen. They have some very, very skilled skill players at different positions. They've got a running back you can rely on in the run and the pass, and now they've got a quarterback who can get everything on the same page, like one of those conductors at the opera doing like this. This is Kirk Cousins, okay? That's all he's got to do. He's got to tell these studs where to line up. And obviously, they've got a new coach in town. They've got new veteran defensive players, Matt Judon. I'm not sure how much meat's left on the bone for Judon, but that's a big pickup. And then you go and get a pickup on the back end there with Gilmore, and you got a lot of good things going with Atlanta. So I think 20 would be a tough sell for me. I think they're probably in the mid-teens. It's not far off from where I want them, but I think 20 is a little too low for Atlanta Falcons, who have gone for broke to get this thing back into a title run type season.
But you're discounting the Kirk Cousins and big game factor. Okay. And it's a joke I have around here, the glazed look he gets on his face in big moments. And all you got to do is go back in history and look, he struggled in big games. So if they're playing big games, it's going to be a problem for him. You talk about the offense and all those skill players. Yeah, Robinson looks the part. Drake London looks the part. Kyle Pitts looks the part. So far, they haven't been. The only
one I have a question about is Kyle Pitts.
Well, so far they haven't really done it, have they?
Well, they have not had somebody that is at the level of Kirk Cousins, quarterback.
True.
And I know how much that can impact everything.
And we go to the other side. You mentioned Judon. Pass rush, if he's not what he used to be, they have a major problem there.
Judon's a leader. Judon's a guy that will make the other players around him play with more violence. He'll have the guys around him playing with a little bit more fervor. I love the way he plays the football.
He's a good player if he's healthy and he's coming off an injury.
But even if he's on the sideline, the guys who are going to step in for him, I promise you, they will have an uptick in production.
I think Tampa Bay is a team to beat in the division.
Tampa Bay scares me a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll get to that one in a little bit. I tend to agree with the Falcons, though. I do think that they're
too
better
low?
than 20th.
Too low?
They're better than 20. They're too low. And you just mentioned what Drake London done. A.J. Brown put up 869 yards his last year with Arthur Smith, right? Like the Arthur Smith's offense is not conducive to those receivers putting it. So I just think the coaching aspect can't be understated. Raheem Morris, what he did with the Rams defense last year, making them like an average defense when it's like no one knew who they had on paper besides Aaron Donald. I thought that was a masterclass. So getting Zach Robinson as your OC, bringing basically over the Rams coaching staff.
Isn't he a PFF guy too, by the way?
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. I bring it up every time I talk to him. So. I think that can't be understated for a team that also had a ton of talent. Yeah. So I think they're a little bit better than 20.
And I just think about the fans in Atlanta and how they are just a raucous group when that team gives them something to root for on Sundays. And I really do think they're going to come out in droves. They're really going to love the product that they have in Atlanta.
I mean, I just think Tampa's a better team. So that's why I have.
They may be.
Yeah.
They may be.